Ready, set, draw!
Welcome back to Ready, Set, Live. This is Tyler, and we've got a great slate of topics to talk about today. But before we get into it, please remember to like and share the content, as well as subscribe to the channel. Every bit of support helps grow the channel and bring new content to listeners like you. This episode is also sponsored by Texarkana Podcast Studio. Wanting to start your very own podcast or voice web series? Well, Texarkana Podcast Studio is the place for you. Whether it's true crime, sports, murder mystery, or a fun card game you want to talk about with your friends, Texarkana Podcast Studio is here for all of your recording needs. Check out the link in the description below to schedule your first session today. Texarkana Podcast Studio, where your voice is heard. Well, guys, welcome back.
Thank
and
you.
Sir Jacob.
Literally, welcome back.
Welcome back to you. You've been gone. We missed you.
Well, since I've been gone, I just want you to know I was with you in spirit through Twitter.
We believe that.
As the main primary active Twitter member of the team, I do feel like I was very fortunate that I could let my opinions on certain card reveals be known, even though I wasn't on the show. I did miss you guys a lot, but Twitter keeps me company when I can't discuss cards with y'all. So everyone I interact with on Twitter, just know that old Jacob here, I appreciate you. So speaking of my vacation, before we get into that, actually, who else do we have with us here?
It is I, Anthony.
And notably absent is Alex. Foreshadowed on the previous episode.
Yes, it was. It was.
Well, we miss you, Alex.
And we miss you, bud. We can't wait to have you back. Can't wait to have the entire gang back together next week. It'll be great.
All right. So just real quick, I just want to share a story about my vacation. I'm not trying to tell y'all stuff about the beach or anything, but I did visit the beach. You would have known that if you followed the Twitter. And then, careful.
Hey, now. I kept it PG. It's fine.
So on the Twitter, I did kind of preview what the vacation was. We started in New Orleans, and I told people we were kicking it Tiana style.
Hey,
from
and you
Princess
know what?
and the Frog. I got some beignets.
My man got a beignet.
Some man catching beignets. And then I went to the beach and kicked it Moana style, and it was all just a big family trip. And I did want to share a quick story about the family experience I had, because as a Lorcana content creator, when I have my nephews around me, I feel like I'm missing an opportunity if I'm not trying to teach them the game.
Oh, yeah.
And get them introduced. First of all, they think it's really, really cool to have an uncle that makes YouTube videos about the game. They once I told them the name of the channel, I started something on that trip, because they have little iPads they watch whenever they're having downtime.
Oh, yeah.
I saw them watching our videos.
Yeah.
Almost the whole trip.
That's awesome.
So it was really cool.
That's awesome.
But one night, my oldest nephew asked me, he's like, hey, can we play Lorcana? And I was like, I think today is the day, child. And even though we had Lorcana lessons and he watched them, he still needed some coaching here and there, which I'm not saying those videos are going to foolproof, no questions asked afterwards. Just want to share a quick story about this. During the game, the younger nephew's playing the older nephew. He is winning the game with Ruby Emerald against the Princess deck, Amber Sapphire on the other side.
Oh, wow.
The Emerald Ruby deck is notably a little bit better, but the 7-year-old nephew is playing against the 9-year-old nephew. Lorcana advertises itself as an 8+ game. So I already knew there might be some learning curve here, but boy, is that 7-year-old smart. Because while he was playing, he was questing with his characters smartly, because he had the board advantage. And then against the 9-year-old, I noticed the 9-year-old started playing some characters. I was like, hey, buddy, I just want to let you know, just because you're questing, I want you to keep in mind there are other things you can do. You can challenge his characters if they're exerted. And he was like, I know, but I watched your lesson, and you have to quest to win.
Hey.
And I was like, oh, I'm such a proud uncle right now. I'm so proud.
That's awesome.
He won that game, by the way.
Nice.
So he had a great time. They both had a great time. It felt very heartwarming to see the kids enjoy it, because I always worry, just because it says it can be played by kids, can they really put their head around it? Yeah.
Yeah.
The answer is
yes.
It can be daunting at first, just because any card game can be daunting at first.
For sure.
That's literally in the intro of Lorcana Lessons. But I'm getting chills right now thinking about how much they love the game. And I know us as adults, we love the game. So it really is a fantastic family experience.
It's a good generational gap, closer.
Mm-hmm.
It, as long as you're, us being, already kind of in the game, like us being the teachers while the kids are the students, and kind of having that master Padawan type relationship at first, and then eventually they beat you and they become the master, and it feels good.
Even their dad walked up to the table. He doesn't play card games, but he walked up to the table while we were playing, and he saw Ariel and he saw Moana. He was like, "Oh, what's this? That's pretty cool. I like that.
Right.
Kind of neat to see. The cards look cool." And I was like,
Right.
"You bet they do."
Like it's so
You bet
cool
they
too
do.
because like in other games, like of course they're creating a totally different lore, and if you're not really connected to the game, you don't really have a connection to any of the cards.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But since a lot of us, especially the older generation, grew up with these characters, all you have to do is take a look at it, and you're like, I know that character. I know this character. Oh my gosh, it's so it's like you have an instant connection to the game. So
I'm actually kind of interested because it's not just okay. So it's not just about like we know the storyboard side. We know everything about the lore that is the storyboard because it's literally the story. It's built into the game. But I want to know the lore about what happened for the Dreamborns and the Floodborns. Like I want to know what exactly it was that went into all of that to get them to where they are now. Because that seems like probably the coolest thing that has not been talked about.
Yeah, I think all the Floodborns are shift characters.
Right.
So I feel like Flood emphasizes like you have an influx of ink, and I would imagine it's like when Dreamborns, when the Dreamborn Lorcana world combines with the Storyborn world, or whenever the inks blend together, you have a flood of ink, and you get the power arising of like, Stitch Rockstar, Giant Fairy, Heroic Outlaw. You have like characters reaching their highest potentials.
Oh yeah.
On shift cards for Floodborn. So
But
it's all speculative.
I feel like I want an actual story.
You're getting one. You're getting one for sure.
Yeah. Eventually, I feel like there will be some sort of booklet, or somebody's going to sit down and do it.
There was a video released as of recording this today. The Illumineers released a video spotlighting some of the art in the game and how like the different ink colors. It's like basically how the cards were designed. They're designed with modern storybook as the emphasis of like what kind of art style they're going for.
Yeah.
And they break it down, and they actually have a lot of cut-ins from like the Lorcana staff. It's like an interactive experience thing. I think it was in their offices. I'm not sure, but it was like breaking down the story, and it's really good. I would highly recommend that video to anyone. The Illumineers Modern Storybook.
that's dope.
Good job, Illumineers.
Yeah, wonderful video. So the other bit of news that I wanted to share just about the channel was, if y'all did not listen to episode 3 of the podcast, it was the card creator competition, where all of us took upon it ourselves to create 2 cards with no goal of winning awards, but we decided to spice it up a little bit and offer awards through Twitter polls and YouTube text polls to offer the community a chance to vote on what they thought 4 categories, who wins. And those categories were best flavor, most overpowered, most balanced, and overall favorite. So we're going to start off I'm going to say what the cards were whenever I say who won them. But if I could get a little bit of a drum roll from y'all, the best flavor Chef's Kiss award goes to Jafar All-Powerful Genie, brought to us by our own Anthony. Jafar was a 7-cost shift 5 amethyst card, a 5/7, had the ability Do As I Say, where when he quests, you can exert and give Reckless to 3 opposing characters, and then he gains Reckless and readies. It's a powerful card, but it's flavorful with the Do As I Say. I really appreciated that. Now, the winner of most overpowered, drum rolls, is Circle of Life from our very own Alex.
I would like to point out,
Fitting.
duh.
Yes.
Fitting.
I really thought my song Be Prepared was going to win.
Be Prepared was real
but
close.
I'm happy to know that I created a balanced card. You know what I'm saying? So
sir.
Circle of Life was
sir.
an uninkable 8-cost song in Amber that allowed you to return all 2 or less cost characters from your discard pile to play, not to your hand.
Can I get a recount?
Yeah, that's very powerful.
Just a reminder, what was Be Prepared?
Be prepared. Oh,
Was
I love
busted.
this.
That's what
Chef's
it
kiss.
was.
Be Prepared was a Sapphire 6-cost inkable song that said whenever basically for your current turn, your opponent's turn, and your next turn, whenever
There's the busted part.
Yeah, whenever a character is banished, draw a card, and all of your characters get +2 strength. So
in the land of voters, that was just the lesser of two evils.
yes.
So in the land of popular opinion, apparently everybody was wrong.
Well, it's a democracy, and we value that here. Now, the next category was most balanced. The
Okay.
most balanced winner was actually the closest vote yet.
Ooh.
Up for that contest were the Goofy Musketeer before it was actually revealed, Alex's Steel Goofy
Fantastic.
Musketeer variant, and then there was also Hero
Hero Hamada.
Hero Hamada,
My
your
man.
Sapphire Micro Genius. There was also Baymax, healthcare provider, offered in there, your other card, Tyler. And there was Mufasa, Brave Father, my big 8-cost Ruby card.
Yes.
The winner of Most Balanced, after that very, very heated battle, was Goofy Musketeer from Alex. I will note, though, the second place, because Goofy actually got that card revealed, we can't say we had any influence on that card getting revealed, but can we say it's a little ironic that the week after we recorded that, it got revealed?
It's like,
anyways,
we should probably let them know
Yeah.
that it exists.
so the next second place on that was actually Baymax healthcare provider.
Yeah, I'll
Baymax
take.
was dope.
You know
Yeah,
what?
it was
I'll
dope.
take the pseudo
All
first
right,
place.
so you notice that I
because
haven't won a
Goofy
single
exists.
category yet.
I did notice.
All right,
that.
you ready for this? Most or overall favorite card?
Okay.
Not me again. I lost every category. It is Baymax healthcare provider.
Yeah.
My
Baymax was
man.
dope.
Tyler, you
I
did
really
a great
like
job
Baymax.
with that card. If you want to see those cards, you can check out the YouTube community posts we do. We have links to our Twitter there where you can see the full card.
And
images
Ravensburger,
stuff.
if you want to see that card, please hit me up.
I don't think they
because-
can legally look at those cards and acknowledge it. I'm just saying.
No. I'm not saying acknowledge it. I'm saying if you want somebody to create awesome cards,
Hey,
let's.
you're gonna let me self-plug here because I'm the one on the Twitter all the time responding to the citizens of Lorcana create a card posts.
That's true.
He posts daily tweets counting down the Disney movies and then picks a hypothetical card from that Disney movie
that would be
and says, just make something with this. Make a card and reply. And I've done it almost every day. And it is one of I kind of think of it as like my Lorcana Wordle.
Send
I
send me the prompt,
I'll send it to you.
and
I'll send it to you.
I'll send you back a card.
Okay.
It'll
Well,
take about maybe 2 minutes.
what's the next topic, Tyler?
Oh goodness. Okay, so, what is the next topic? What are we doing?
Lorcana news.
Lorcana news.
Keeping it in. We're keeping that in. That was dope.
It's like, wait a minute. What is the next topic?
That was planned. It was planned.
100%. Not really. So yeah, Lorcana news. Okay. So, man, do we have some stuff to talk about today? We had five cards released in the last week, and dude, Ravensburger not pulling any punches.
Yeah.
They're like, hey, you want to you want that AOE? We got you AOE. You want to see some stuff that will bring stuff back to your hand or bring something back to your opponent's hand? We got you.
Mm-hmm.
You want to see a bodyguard on a small child? We got you. We got you there too. That's a different way of looking at that card now, isn't it?
Hey, he's protective. All right.
He
so,
is very, very.
So, yes, we have Lorcana news in the form of card reveals we're going to be discussing today. And we're going to have Tyler start us off with technically the card that we just missed the chance to discuss last episode. What is it, Tyler?
So the card that we barely just missed is Donald Duck strutting his stuff. It is a 5-cost inkable sapphire card that is 4 strength, 3 willpower. It's a Dreamborn hero. What is that? The last one? Inventor? Oh, of course it's an inventor. And it has the keyword ward, and it is a 2 lore. This card is solid.
Yeah, I'd say it's
I don't think it's. I don't think it's crazy.
It's on the worst end of solid, but still solid.
Yeah, with it kind of falls into the same category as Aladdin, like the green Aladdin,
Yeah, it's
where
bored.
just having ward by
Baked in.
itself, baked in, is pretty good. But the fact that we have another card on this list that kind of just says, "I don't care about ward,"
Yeah.
well, it kind of it doesn't ruin it, but man,
Yeah.
it definitely hurts.
So with this card, it's kind of the consensus I saw on Twitter after it was revealed. And I know with the most recent episode we had listened to of the Lorcana cast where they discussed it with Brimley Games, I agree with their take. It's like it's a solid card. The stats aren't egregious, but having the low willpower is a little scary. With only 3 willpower,
Yeah, I feel like it should have been a flip.
you can still challenge into them. So a forceful duelist, a 1-drop with good challenger can knock that out in one hit. So it begs the opportunity of like, you need protection or you need some serious synergy to make this go from good to great.
I think this Donald would merit very well with either being in Amber or in Steel.
I think Steel is the best.
I think overall Steel is the best.
Amber's getting more bodyguards,
yeah,
but
Amber's getting a lot of bodyguards.
But Steel offers you the ability to
awesome.
like get rid of those pesky low cost cards that might trade up to it. And Steel offers those high end bodyguards as well to stick him behind. Because I really feel like if you can put that behind a bodyguard, you can safely quest and you can get that real value because they can't sneak past the bodyguard with the ward.
They can't just ping it. It's either got to be an AoE thing or it's got to be some sort of other type of removal.
And that other subtype you mentioned, Inventor,
that's a fun one.
Yeah,
that's
an item thing. Like Maurice is an inventor, Belle's an inventor. So I'm thinking maybe if the inventor subtype ever gets support, it also kind of amps that card up a little bit.
Oh yeah, for sure.
If they make one where it's like all inventors get one more lore, or all inventors can also have evasive. Oh my god!
Oh man,
if that existed, that'd be really good.
Oh my god.
But stuff like that, I could see it pretty strong. But let's move on to the next card.
Yeah.
We'll give you that one too, Tyler.
Okay. So the next card that we've got is my man. It's my boy. It's Merlin. Merlin, self-appointed mentor, because why not? He is a 4-cost inkable sapphire card, sapphire as well. He is it's a 3/4, so 3 strength, 4 willpower. He is a Dreamborn Mentor Sorcerer. We're getting more Sorcerer cards.
Beautiful.
That's another subtype that I would really like to see some love for. But gosh, easily one of my favorite parts about this card. He's got support. It's a support with a 1 lore. Dude, support on 3? That's painful. That's like
great stuff.
That's a Sapphire just got a usable card that pointed in the right direction is going to punch somebody in the face.
Yep.
Think about this real quick. You put Merlin, you quest with him, and then you give that 3 to Aurora. That's a 6/5 punch.
Oh man,
that's
if
so
you shifted
painful.
on her to the previous turn or something.
That's
that could
so
be dirty.
Painful.
Yeah,
that's great.
I don't know if I would like immediately want to punch with Aurora, even though it can be done. My line of thinking was one of the most common ways of like developing your early board are those 1 and 2 cost characters that can trade evenly in the early game.
Yeah.
But that's all they're limited to just that.
Yeah, the early game punch.
So you think about what's the most common strength total in early game characters?
2/2 or 1/2.
Yeah, 2 strength is the most common thing we see in 1 and 2 drop characters.
Yeah.
Merlin giving 3 immediately puts any of those characters in the position to trade with that threshold that we always want to see.
Yeah, it's
5
the 5
willpower.
Yep, that 5 willpower is very.
You can set up
attainable.
trades with your 1 drop to take out a 5 drop.
Yeah.
That's mean.
Yeah,
and what are they going to do? Take out Merlin? He has 3 strength himself.
Exactly.
Yep.
That's what I was going to say.
And he's got that 4 willpower too, man.
The card image shows him crafting some spelly stuff in the midst of reading a book. And I'm pretty sure that book is titled "How to Beat the Crap Out of Someone in Lorcana."
Actually, it is
good. I love that.
Speaking of the subtypes, have we seen many mentors?
No.
There have been some, but I
Really?
can't think of any off the top of my head. But I know we've seen some mentors.
I really feel
Fairly
like
recently.
the mentor subtype is gonna be like more supportive, more
see.
like helping build other cards.
Okay, so we've got
Rafiki.
3. There's
Rafiki.
there's Rafiki and Maurice.
Okay.
So those the
Okay.
What does
besides
Rafiki
Merlin.
do?
So Rafiki is a rush, and then
Okay.
Maurice is item buff. So
Rafiki's a 3-cost 3/3 with Rush.
yeah,
Okay.
but
It's still
I feel
good,
like
though.
out
Yeah.
of the 3 mentor cards that are available, Rafiki's good. Don't get me wrong; he's not great, but he is good. I think Maurice and
great.
Merlin.
I think he's great.
That's a conversation for a different time.
Okay. Well, here's the thing. Now that we brought up Rafiki, though, just for the combo with Merlin, Rafiki drops at any point. It has Rush. It can
That's
threaten
true.
immediately. And because Lorcana has a main phase where you can sequence anything you want in any way, you play Merlin on 4, give him his time to cook. On turn 5, set up a little 2-drop, do a little 2-ink action, drop a Rafiki, quest with Merlin, give Rafiki the +3 strength, and you're
And-
swinging for 6 to clear out a goofy musketeer.
Punch
It
in
is-
the face.
One of my new favorite words that you might hear me say more often. This dude's got beef. He is beefed up. So Merlin is great. I love that card.
Do 2 vegans fighting still have beef?
Yes. Yes. Thank you for that. Though. So I'm going to bring us to the next card. The next card we have to discuss is Befuddle. Released today, as of the recording, it is a 1-cost inkable Amethyst action. It's the first non-song action we've gotten in Amethyst, the other being Friends on the Other Side. And Befuddle action does this. Return a character or item with cost 2 or less to their player's hand.
Can we just point out who is on the front of this card?
Yes, it is Merlin.
It is Merlin. Because he was reading that purple book.
Yeah, yeah.
That happens to be an Amethyst book that he's just chilling with.
That's pretty good stuff. It's flavorful.
It is flavorful.
It's actually a cookbook, what he has, because he's cooking up something special.
So
With Befuddle, there are 2 ways you can use the card. You can use the card offensively,
or defense,
or you can use it defensively,
I
or
would say
like
supportively.
or supportively.
Yeah.
So the obvious thing you think of when you hear that return to hand is, I'm going to mess up my opponent. I'm going to get a 1-cost card to remove a 2-cost thing temporarily. That's great. If you force your opponent to not get to quest with their 2-drop they just put down, that's pretty cool. You can delay them.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But we have seen recently a card that cares about when an item comes into play. So this Befuddle now says, hey, you know that item that you just played? I can technically be a second copy of that item for just 1 more ink. So it allows you to have more options in that hypothetical aerial combo.
Did they just give Amethyst Sapphire
Yes.
like a low-key buff?
They did. It's not low key. It's very high key.
Yeah, it's very high key.
So that's what I'm saying. It's like it is a control card,
It's
but
like
also
Dragon
a
Ball
combo
Z
card.
Goku high key, man.
It's fantastic. What are your thoughts on it, Ant?
I really like it. I like that it's only 1 cost too. So
Yeah.
like, oh my gosh,
You can
it's
weave
your
it
favorite
in.
color, man.
yeah. You can mess up some stuff,
Yeah.
man. Because you can carry 4 of each card, right?
Yep.
Oh my gosh. Okay, combos.
Yeah, it's combos ready to go.
Dude, and I just realized I didn't even look. Okay, I really need to start looking at some rarities here. Did anybody else notice that Merlin is a common?
Yeah, that was something that surprised me.
That
Like
that's,
they want it to be found often.
yeah, and then same thing with Befuddle being an uncommon.
Yeah, that's a
That's a strange one.
well. Speaking of commons, we have our next card.
Ayo.
It is Simba, Protective Cub, a 2-cost inkable, 2 strength, 3 willpower, 1 lore bodyguard character.
Child.
Yes, he's a hero and a prince. Thank you very much. He's not a child. Child is not on that card. A storyborn
Might not be
hero.
on the card, but
Prince.
it's the truth.
Does
Yeah,
say
this
courage comes in all sizes.
It
Yes,
does.
courage comes in all sizes is the flavor text. We might have missed the flavor text on the other ones.
Oh, we did. Hold up.
Donald Duck strutting his stuff says, walk smarter, not harder.
Which makes total sense.
Yeah, what does Merlin say?
Merlin says, what a mess. What a medieval muddle. We'll have to modernize it.
Beautiful. So, Simba Protective Cub. Any thoughts,
I would
Anthony,
like to
on the
point out that
protective?
Befuddle also has flavor text, sir.
Oh, it does?
Yes. Never be afraid to have your mind boggled now and then.
Oh, good stuff.
Perfect.
That's perfect.
Perfect.
So, Anthony, what are your thoughts on Simba Protective Cub and Amber as a bodyguard?
Like Tyler said earlier. How did you say it?
It's a
We
child.
have child. We have bodyguards that are
It's a
child
a bodyguard child.
I like this card, and it's like it's inkable too.
Mhm.
So 2 cost, bodyguard 2/3. Yeah, I think this will see some use, man.
Do you remember
time.
the hyenas in the original Lion King?
Mhm.
Okay.
Ed, Ed, and Eddie.
Ed, Ed, and Eddie.
Thank you.
No.
No, so what one of them was named Eddie. But no, just remember what they said to Simba when he growled at them, like, "Ooh, that was good. Do it again. Do it again. Ooh, do it again. Do it again. Do it
Terrifying.
again." It's terrifying.
So, something I want to point out with Simba, I like that you mentioned it was inkable, because one of the things that always worries me whenever I see a low cost card, it's like with Maleficent. Maleficent is a 1 cost, 1/1/2 ink, the biding her time 1 drop.
But it's
That
not
card's good
inkable.
because it has 2 lore, and it's kind of like threatening. If you don't remove it, it's threatening a decent chunk of your win condition. But most 1 cost and 2 cost stuff, if it's not inkable, like you draw it in the late game, it's dead.
Dead in your hand,
Yep.
yeah.
So with this, at least it can offer you in the mid game. If you're not really wanting something low, it can proc it. I just look at that cost, and every time something gets revealed now with 1 or 2 costs, my mind just goes Rockstar, 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 because it's just begging to be thrown in there.
And it's even better because it's a bodyguard.
I know, right?
Right.
It's a
So,
2-drop bodyguard
that's
that
the
you
thing.
want to get exerted in the first place.
Yeah.
You can just Rockstar, exert.
Yeah.
Ha ha ha. I'm going to draw my card. You're going to get mad because you can't hit Rockstar anymore.
Yeah. It's something that, like, Bodyguard as a mechanic is a lot like Taunt in Hearthstone. And if you've ever played
Oh, great
Hearthstone,
comparison.
you
Great
know
comparison.
that with Taunt, you can be a 1/1 Taunt. You could be a 0/1 Taunt. It's not about hitting back. It's about immediately making your opponent go, ah, man.
Disruption, yeah.
My whole plan is messed up now.
Yep,
This rush
yep.
character that I had that was
Yeah.
going to come in and clean you up, now it has to hit that. That's great. So Simba, this is brought up by Lorcana Cast on Twitter. I'm not trying to steal ideas here. Everybody gets credit. He mentioned in a Twitter thread that the best friend of this Simba is Maleficent biding her time, because you drop her on 1, you can't quest yet, but the hardest detail is like, okay, I'm going to get 2 lore out of her on turn 2. But what about after that? If they played anything, she's going to get gobbled. Usually you're still okay with it, but your signs of like infinite lore with Maleficent are gone. This on turn 2 immediately says, I'm going to drop this Simba, quest with Maleficent, and make you have hard removal.
Right.
So I wasn't really scared of like go wide decks very much, especially with one of the other cards we're going to talk about today.
Be afraid.
Yeah,
Be
but
very afraid.
I wasn't scared, but you can have all the AoE in the world. This Simba messes up the early game, and it can set things on a pace that's really, really hard to come back from. So
it increases the possibility that Maleficent stays on the field another turn too. Oh man.
yeah, even though this is a whole child,
A
a
whole
whole child.
I still think this child, he's got a roar.
A whole child?
Yeah.
What, as opposed to what? A half one?
You know, we're gonna move on.
I have way too many questions now.
All right, Anthony, you've been sitting over there waiting for your chance to get to talk about this card. I know it.
Oh,
What's the
man.
card?
I'm excited about
And take
this
your
one.
time with it, because if people want to know.
All right, guys. So we got a Tinkerbell giant fairy. She is a steel, 6 cost inkable, 4/5, floodborn ally fairy. She has a shift 4. Oh,
Thank God.
Let her cook.
oh man. Okay. She has 2 abilities. The first one is rock the boat. When you play this character, deal 1 damage to each opposing character. Oh,
Oh,
my
just
say
wanna
it
stop
again.
right
Say it
there.
again
Say
for the
it.
people
Oh
in the
my
back.
gosh.
Say it again.
Just in case y'all didn't hear me. Rock the boat. When you play this character, deal 1 damage to each opposing character. And I just love the wording.
Yeah.
But we'll come back to that in a second. And her other ability is Puny Pirate. During your turn, whenever this character banishes another character in a challenge, you may deal 2 damage to chosen opposing character. She is also 2 lore. Oh,
I would like to point out they missed an opportunity here.
What's the missed opportunity?
The missed opportunity is Puny Pirate. I think this saying during your turn, whenever this character banishes another character in a challenge, I think that part needed to go away.
No.
I think if you want to make this card just absolutely amazing,
It's already amazing.
It is amazing.
trying to
Don't
make
get
her
me wrong,
perfect.
but that's perfection. That
It's
is
also mad annoying to play against.
but that's the like you want a board clear. That's how you board clear.
dude.
But
You're telling
you make
me-
it only once per turn though.
Okay. You're adding
Make it a hard once
stipulations,
per-
but you're not even with your hard once per turn. Being able to deal 1 damage to everything, and then if you kill something, get rewarded with another 2 damage is what you're talking about, right?
Yes.
That's too dirty for Lorcana. It's a clean game, son.
I
So-
don't care what
So,
you say.
You got to reveal it, Anthony. What are your thoughts? Like, what do you immediately? What goes in your head when you think of this card? You said you like the wording in the first ability. What
Yeah.
special sticks out to you?
So for rock the boat, I really like it because, like, you know, when you rock the boat, like, since she's a giant fairy, she's gonna cause waves. So it's like it plays into the deal 1 damage to each opposing character, like deal 1 damage to each opposing ship or anything in the waters. I really like the way that they did
But
that. It's pretty cool.
So-
what if I don't like making waves?
Well, she
Actually,
does.
it's funny that you mentioned that. I swear this was not planned, guys. The Illuminateers sent out a tweet after it was noticed that it didn't have any flavor text.
I
Because
was
they
just-
didn't have any room for it.
Yeah.
And they were like, there should be a flavor text competition for this card. And my flavor text competition submission, even though I don't even know if there is a competition going on,
There should be.
was because she doesn't speak,
Not typically.
you have to give a flavor text that's like just talking about the situation. It was finally growing up, she's ready to make waves.
Ah.
I mean, you know, I'm not calling myself a poet here, but that's pretty good. All right. So with Tinkerbell, the flavor of it is off the charts. Let's talk about the gameplay ramifications of this card because it is insane how much this card can disrupt things.
Can I just go ahead and point out one more flavor text?
Go ahead.
Do you believe in fairies now?
Oh,
Oh,
that
I like
wins.
that.
That wins.
I like
I'm
that.
sorry. I bow before you, Mr. Tyler. All right, that wins. Good job.
Thank
Patting
you,
him on the
thank
back
you,
in
thank you,
the studio,
thank
guys. So, the gameplay ramifications of this card, I think I can speak for the entire Lorcana community who's ever tested this game. Anyone who has made proxies, anyone who has figured out a way to like witness gameplay, demo the game anywhere, knows that the baked-in strategy early on, like many games, is aggro. I want to rush. I want to get as much lore. I want a bunch of little bodies because we had nothing to deal with it. This is the first card, even including Ariel, where I can confidently, memes aside, say, this changes everything. And I think a lot of people stood up and applauded when they read this tweet revealing this card because I'm prepared to eat my words if this is not true. I think this is the best card in the game.
It's pretty close.
I think it's
Yeah,
the best.
I
If it
don't
didn't have
disagree.
shift, I would feel less confident in that statement.
Yeah, that's shift 4.
Shift 4.
Can I point out? I think it was in an earlier episode that I specifically said everybody needs to watch out for Tinkerbell because Tinkerbell is going to be a problem.
I think you're right. I do remember you saying she could shift.
I specifically stated
Yeah.
I was like I want to go on record in saying that Tinkerbell is going to end
Let
up
me go
becoming
on
a
record
problem.
and say I do not like 3-cost Tinkerbell at all.
I get it.
I have actively left that out of decks. Even after testing it, I'm not speaking on that without testing it. I always inked that character because it never felt
you
good
don't.
enough to draw and then discard because you're so frequently in top deck mode that you're pretty much saying, hey, I'm exerting this character just to put something in my discard pile. I'm going to look at it and say bye and put it in. And at 2/4, it's an interesting situation now because now you can look at it through a different lens. As a 3-cost 2/4, nothing in that range of the early game is taking out 4 willpower.
Oh no.
So
And then at
it
4
almost guarantees on turn 4 you're going to shift into this girl. That creates problems.
I think this actually makes Sapphire Steel much better.
Much better.
Because you give
Yes.
you give Ward to Tinkerbell as a 2/4 and you just let it chill there
Yeah.
until it's absolutely needed. And then
Mhm.
you're like, oh, hey, by the way, you're bored? Yeah, no, we're going to get rid of that.
Yeah. It's the same thing as like with a 4/5 body, when you shift, you kind of expect that it's going to have rush essentially, right? Because it's already on a character that can challenge or quest. So her second ability is not dead immediately.
No, it's
You can
actually
shift,
perfectly adequate.
And
right there.
then, like with Aladdin, when you go from Prince Ali to Heroic Outlaw, if you're playing against a Ruby Emerald deck, you know on turn 5 what's coming. Especially when
if
you
it's
see
in the
that,
hand,
yeah, when you see that
it's
Prince
coming
Ali sitting there for 3 turns, you're like, okay, I know what's coming. I got to prepare for it. That's the same thing with Steel now. And I spoke about this a little bit before we started recording the show with Anthony. You mentioned Sapphire Steel. One of the biggest weaknesses of Sapphire in particular is if you want to lean into the ramp, you give up a lot of board presence when you do that. You have to spend turn 2, 1 jump aheading.
Yeah.
Then you have to spend turn 3 Mickey Mouse detectiving. And that's like ideal. Well, tell me, Tyler, if you have 4 turns, so you have 4 ink, but then you got 2 extra ink in the process because of your ramp cards, how many ink do you have on turn 4?
Okay, hold on. 1.
I was told there
2,
would be no
3,
math.
and then 3 into 4. You have if you inked on turn 4, you have 5. Oh no, it's 6.
It's 6.
Holy crap!
So-
okay, I missed the
Yeah.
I missed
It's
the
if you
ink,
ink on the turn.
in turn 3.
Yeah, so you have 6 ink on turn 4. So in a Sapphire Steel deck, you technically can kind of get rewarded with, yes, I know I haven't been developing my board as much while I've been ramping. The biggest weakness of that is you lose board control.
Right.
But with this card, it immediately says, yeah, I know I'm not shifting, so I can't do things immediately, but I am going to swing for 1 on everything immediately. So all those little puny things that I haven't really been able to contest so far, maybe I can actually start knocking some stuff out. So it helps you catch back up on board when you were being greedy with your ramping, which is why it's a very exciting thing. If this card is in the starter deck, oh my gosh, I feel even more confident on Sapphire Steel being a game winner. So
My guy,
it's good.
I would like to point out, I'm fairly certain
It's a super rare.
It's a super rare.
Yeah, it's a super rare.
It
Which-
deserve. I'm gonna be honest. I think that deserves to be legendary.
I think they're saving legendary for the iconic.
So like
things.
Stitch and whatnot. I get it.
Most legendaries, sans Mickey Mouse, have a singular ability that would be playable as an action standalone. Maleficent has Dragonfire. Stitch has Ohana.
Yeah.
All of those effects would be playable on their own as action cards. So please confirm that, Lorcana. Please, Ravensburger. Please, somebody confirm that, because that makes it really exciting, because it's kind of like revealing a card before you reveal a card.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So,
Oh, dude, that would be cool. It's just like a straight up, like action, like
yeah,
in action.
Ohana. If you have 2 characters, draw 2 cards.
oh,
be great. So
What's this? Oh, now I want to know. What's this? what's the song in Lilo and Stitch? It's the
you're gonna know way more about that than me. I've watched that movie one time.
Hawaiian roller coaster ride.
Oh yeah.
That needs to be a card.
I could see it.
Because that would,
Literally any song can be a card.
that's fair. But
Like Be Prepared and Circle of Life.
No,
Okay.
just no.
All right. Well, does anybody have anything else to say about the cards revealed?
All I'm gonna say is when this card is played, something is leaving the board for sure.
Oh,
no matter
for
what.
sure.
Oh my gosh.
The card that got banished because it got attacked, and then the other ones that are going to get hit because, dang.
Yeah.
It's kind of ironic that whenever she challenges something, she gets to fire the cannons.
Oh yeah.
You know, it's kind of cool.
Oh, but she gets to fire all the cannons
Mhm.
though.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, I'm trying to think. So it would be turn 9. You would need it turn 9, but Beast,
Oh, we didn't even mention that,
Beast,
dude.
Wolfbane, turn 9, Beast, Wolfbane, and
here's-
and Tinkerbell, Giant Fairy is
That's a
monster.
Turn 9 to surprise.
Yeah.
With that. The thing is, though, I mentioned this in a tweet, I think. It's a beautiful thing. You can play Tinkerbell Tiny Tactician on 3. You can shift into Giant Fairy on turn 4, dealing 1 damage to everything. And then on turn 5, perfectly on curve, play your Beast Wolfsbane.
Oh yeah.
Rush in, clean something up. And because he has that ability to exert all damaged characters, if something didn't get actually killed by
It is now.
or the Giant Fairy, it's dead now. Because after you include the 1 damage from the Tinkerbell, he will exert anything down. So it's not like something that's not exerted is safe. He'll exert it down because it has the 1 damage. You have to heal it to protect that. Then he's going to rush in for 4. So if your character that got damaged has 5 willpower or less, that other threshold we've talked about, it's just not safe.
Yeah, no.
So
everything will die.
I love it. I love it so much. Emerald Steel got beefed,
it
bro.
It got beefed, man. It looks so good.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Well, that is it for Lorcana news.
So that brings us to a topic we've kind of been holding on to for a little while. As y'all know, if y'all have listened to the earlier episodes, we have an extensive history as a friend group with different TCGs. The primary TCGs we've played are Pokemon, Hearthstone, Magic, Yu-Gi-Oh! Some trickling for each of us in different card games, maybe here and there. But we wanted to get a chance to tell you about some of the TCG decks we've loved from different games. It kind of roughly explaining what it is about that strategy that we loved as players, and then kind of discussing as a group if that strategy can be translated to Lorcana. So I do want to emphasize that we know that not everybody that's listening to this has played every game, so we're going to break down the games as they come up to kind of translate to Lorcanish, if you will, so that even if you haven't played the game, you can understand the general strategy as long as you understand how Lorcana works. So I'll go ahead and give it to Anthony to describe. Tell me first, what is the card game you were talking about a deck in?
So I'm going to be talking about Yu-Gi-Oh!
All right.
And my deck was, or one of my favorite decks that I played. It wasn't super popular. It was kind of roguish, but it was Tidal Slushy Frogs. And it used what we called in
Slush Rush.
Yeah. It used what we called in Yu-Gi-Oh! The Frog Engine. So for those that do not know the Frog Engine, I have it pulled up here. Let me find it.
By the way, did you know that Rodentonen got banned?
Did it get banned?
It did get banned.
A lot of people don't know what that means, but so it used what they called Swap Frog. Swap Frog it had an ability to be special summoned by discarding a water monster to the graveyard, and you could special summon it. And its effect would be to discard a frog card from your deck into the graveyard. So it played super heavy on recursion, basically, because a lot of the frogs had effects in the graveyard.
Specifically Rodentonen.
Specifically Rodentonen, and you could just, banish another frog or a water monster?
Banish another frog and then special summon it.
So that led to a
loop.
Exactly. You can XYZ and then create a monster, and then you would detach Rodentonen and do it again.
All right, so
in the graveyard.
Let me translate to Lorcanish for people here, because even after stepping away from the Yu-Gi-Oh for a while now, a lot of that I didn't care. so let me translate a little bit of that to how the strategy would appeal in Lorcana. Essentially, you have discard pile synergies and you have tribal synergies. So you have characters that would care about what type, like inventor, mentor, stuff like that.
Right.
What type of character you also had in the deck. So it'd kind of be like playing an all mentor deck. And let's say you had a mentor that you could play for free if you discarded a mentor from your hand to the discard pile. Does that sound crazy good? It's because it is. So in Lorcana, the strategy Anthony's talking about would kind of be like a flexible combo discard pile as a resource deck. Yu-Gi-Oh! Is the hardest game to translate to other games on how their effects work, because Yu-Gi-Oh! Is innately, I'm not going to call it dumb. That's not fair. It is a wonderful game.
For some people.
For some people. But it has a lot of my childhood. I appreciate the game, but
bro,
the game does not have
players
resources, so you can just play things if you meet conditions, which, like you said, it's a loop. Well, I prepared a Yu-Gi-Oh! Deck to talk about at first too, but I realized that it's going to be the same thing, because every Yu-Gi-Oh! Deck is this. I care about having cards with the same name as me or the same type. I create a loop in some way, and I have a flexible way to deal with everything my opponent does. That's not interactive.
It's called archetypal based deck building.
Yeah, it's tough. But let's talk about what your deck shined at in its flexibility, right?
Yeah. So like the objective was to do what in Yu-Gi-Oh! They called XYZ or Exceed summoning, basically. So it was to get two of the same stars together and then put them on top of each other, and then were able to, was it special summon?
Yeah.
Or
Yeah,
spicy
you,
summon a
you
monster?
special summon a monster from
Mhm.
what is considered the extra
Mhm.
deck or a deck.
It's like a sideboard,
Yeah.
essentially.
Yeah,
It would be like in Lorcana if you had two characters of the same ink cost.
right,
If you're allowed to like essentially shift them together while they're both on the board,
right.
and then create something magical
Right.
from that.
And the two characters that you combine become resources for that card. So you would either detach one or two to activate a certain ability of the new card. So
Mhm.
basically, there was like a card called Digusto Phoenix, which allowed you to, was it double attack?
No. Yes, it double attacks. So
detach one.
detach one and
Uh-huh.
attack twice.
Right. So
Mhm.
like I said, when I did the first special summon, you detach Ronin Totem from the Digusto Phoenix, and
Oh my
now
gosh.
it has the ability.
This is
So-
ridiculous.
You also have Ronin Totem
So
in the grave, so
basically-
you can special summon again and do some other crazy stuff.
So what you're
Mhm.
telling me right now is
Your catchphrase
Ariel
for the
is
show.
really going to be good. That's what I'm hearing right now.
Yeah.
Because Ariel basically says the exact same thing. You
Yeah.
play an item, I get to just come back and swing again.
Yeah.
Right,
And then come
right.
back and swing again.
Right.
So-
and like it was a really cool deck because it utilized the graveyard,
Mhm.
which also made it its greatest weakness. If you were able to shut down the graveyard in any way,
Yeah,
it's
if
like
you run out of
let me just
resources,
stop
there's an
playing.
eventual.
Speaking of that, I do want to kind of translate to Lorcanish again for your Xyz summon strategy or game mechanic. We kind of talked about what it would be taking two similar cost characters, putting them on top of each other, and then getting to put a new character from like outside your deck onto it and say, "Hey, I've created Tinkerbell Mega God Fairy,"
Right.
You know, because
Right.
I had 2 6 costs,
Right.
you know. And then you get to like discard the 6 costs from underneath it to use some stupid ability that was
Exactly.
really good.
yeah,
And I do want to emphasize to kind of make sure people understand at home, you have all these cards outside of your deck that you can create, but it's flexible because you can create things on demand for what's useful.
right,
So you brought up Digusto Phoenix, which was one of those cards you could create from other cards,
yeah,
and that solved a specific problem.
right,
So it's kind of hard to translate that to Lorcana as we know it right now because you don't have that extra deck to
Right.
summon from.
Right.
But we do have the ability we have a whole ink that is built around flexibility, and that's Emerald. So we've seen cards in Emerald that kind of create a difficult decision for your opponent or allow you to solve a problem in a unique way. So I think Emerald speaks to your quality.
it's looking
But-
like it.
But what did you say your favorite ink color was?
It's
Amethyst.
Amethyst. It's purple.
Ah,
And what
yeah.
is Amethyst known for? Abilities.
abilities
So,
and drawing cards.
yeah, flexible ability is like an Emerald Amethyst thing. And I think that it's
I'm
prime.
looking forward to seeing that deck put together.
Yeah.
Let's go.
People have been doing it, but
Not
is there
with
anything
these
else you wanted to
cards.
share about your Yu-Gi-Oh deck that was like the strategy to it or something you're hoping is existent in Lorcana?
The card that you missed was totally awesome, by the way.
Oh, totally. Yeah. We're
It's-
not going to talk about
yeah,
it.
we're not going to talk
But,
about that.
in the name, I said it was called Tidal Slushy Frogs.
Mhm.
So Tidal also had, or he worked with the water ability. Like you could just discard stuff, water monsters or whatever to special summon. It was just a crazy.
That's
like
the thing.
summoning from the graveyard or recursion, which is one of Alex's favorite things.
Mhm.
I like it too.
We should mention that, by the way. Alex isn't here, and I did want to give him a chance to be represented in this discussion. Graveyard recursion, discard pile recursion, bringing stuff back from the discard pile is his number one thing. His deck that he was going to bring up was Muldrotha, the Gravetide. That's
From
a magic
Magic.
deck.
Yep.
It's a commander deck in Magic, and it's all about, it has the ability that you can basically play one of each card type from your discard pile once per turn. So in Lorcana, that would be like you have a character on board that says you can play a character from your discard pile once per turn, you can play an action from your discard pile once per turn, and you can play an item from your discard pile once
so
per turn.
annoying and flexible.
It's really flexible, and it basically means like,
It's a struggle
hey,
bus.
you know that action I just used? I'm going to get it back next turn, so you might as well just kind of take that into account. Hey, you remember that character you just took a lot of time to get rid of? It's going to come back next turn. So, it's recursion is tricky because it can make actions you take against a player feel meaningless if you know they're coming back. But it is a cool thing in regards to the other strategy Alex brought up, which was sacrifice, where you could take some cards and resources that you had devoted to the field and just get rid of them, but gain something that you felt was worth it for getting rid of that resource. So let's say instead of exerting an ink card, let's say you could exert it and then discard the ink, completely losing it, but now you get some extra effect from something. Or you have a card on the board that says, if you're willing to sacrifice an ink, I'll let you do something powerful. Can you think of anything better for like Jafar, the evil genie too? You know,
Yeah.
like a Jafar card and be like, hey, if you exert that ink and get rid of it, if you make that sacrifice, I'll make it worth your while. So that's a cool mechanic that I think is totally within the realm of Lorcana. You already have Frying Pan, often overlooked because it's not that good. A 2-cost steal item that says banish this item, target character can't challenge next turn. It exists in the game already. So I think that's on the menu.
But my thing with recursion is once you start introducing recursion, you also have to introduce something that helps to deal with it.
Yes.
So as of right now, is there anything beyond being, because when a character is defeated, since it doesn't die in Lorcana, it's banished, right?
Yes.
There's nothing that goes beyond banishing right now, right?
Nothing that removes it from the game. There is one singular answer for discard pile shenanigans, and it's Magical Broom. It's the Broom
puts it back
Brigade
in the
in
deck.
Amethyst. It shuffles a card from either player's discard back into the deck. So there is technically an answer.
So what you're telling me that Amethyst is really looking like a really strong.
Yes, it is a strong type. So just to answer your question, nothing to remove it outright from the game. But I think you're right in that when you introduce recursion, you got to introduce an answer, and that's a delicate balance. So I appreciate your input, Anthony. All right. We also kind of covered Alex's deck in that regard.
Yep,
too.
sure
So,
did.
so good stuff. All right, Tyler, what's your deck discussion here?
So my deck discussion is, so I jumped in pretty heavily into Magic a couple of years ago, and the deck that really kind of spoke to everything that I like to do, and I would like to point out I am a green player at heart, but
I'll believe that when I see it with this answer.
that something caught my eye in the distance, and I watched somebody play this deck, and I was like, I'm gonna make this deck my own and have lots of fun with it. And that is Urza, Lord High Artificer. And so what Urza likes to do is that this deck relies
This is
on
Magic,
two
right?
yeah,
You-
this
you
is
said it
Magic.
was Magic,
Yeah.
okay.
So this deck specifically relies on two major play styles as far as choices to win the game. You either combo to draw your whole deck and win with an immediate win condition, or you combo to draw your opponents out and you win via deck out.
Because they can't draw a card,
Because
so they lose.
Yeah.
I don't know if that exists in Lord.
I
Does
was
that
just
rule
about to
Lorcana?
ask.
I need to check the rules. They haven't released comprehensive rules yet, but
I think it does state that
they just know that no one would ever reach that by this point in the game.
Yeah, it's kind of an. I mean, the ending point is only to 20, so I mean, like the likelihood of you not making it to 20 in a 60 card deck is pretty low.
Yeah, I could see maybe some multiplayer games getting that way.
Yeah, I could
Right.
definitely see it in multiplayer.
And with them introducing more cards that take away lore too.
And more
so-
cards
Yeah.
that draw.
So kind of to go off all of that. So either way, the keyword that fits every scenario for the gameplay is combo.
Yeah.
Urza helps with some of the core workings of the deck by making artifacts, or in Lorcana terms, items,
Mhm.
into resources to help play spells earlier than I would typically be able to. Urza also relies on counter spells to stop opponents from interacting with my board.
Mhm.
So for Lorcana, that would be essentially like Steel or Sapphire's removal spells, or
Or even like healing.
Yeah,
essentially.
or
You can
healing.
count
Yeah,
healing as that too.
same idea. And so I'm also a big advocate of drawing cards,
Yes.
which is the exact same way that you either win or my opponents lose
Yeah.
in the playing of Urza. So
So I hear with this deck, was there more you wanted to share?
yeah,
Sorry.
so yeah, if there's anything that Urza likes to do is draw cards. With decks like Amber Steel and Amber Amethyst, drawing cards never typically in short supply.
Yeah. Okay. So there really isn't much need to translate that into Lorcanish because you did a pretty
tried,
good job.
Yeah, I
of
tried to
doing
do
that.
when I wrote it up, when I put it all together, I tried to really
Yeah.
think, how does this relate to Lorcana? And
Yeah.
the idea specifically, it goes back to previous episodes of me talking about my favorite card in the game, which is
Mhm.
Stitch Rockstar. He is about as combo-y as you can get as far as
Mhm.
like the landscape of what he does.
I would say it is the most similar to an Urza card we have.
Yeah.
with Urza getting pretty much like it makes a lot of item equivalents,
Yeah.
item cards. It makes a lot of them just better
Yeah.
already. Stitch Rockstar is definitely a beast to be reckoned with.
It's so good.
And it does kind of scratch that itch for you. I think, like you said, combo is your focus. So I could really see you one day, especially whenever Sapphire Amber isn't so princess design focused. I could see that color combo really pushing it for you, because even
I would agree
items
with that.
decks right now, Amber has some decent items, and you could combo with Ariel too.
Yeah,
so,
and that's kind of the reason why I'm kind of sitting on the fence between whether or not Amber Steel is the way to go, but there's been a lot of really good steel cards, so it's
Mhm.
like so another little boy that also does really well is the other Simba in
no,
steel.
the Future King.
Yeah, Simba
Yeah.
Future King, which works super well with Rockstar, which we
Mhm.
talked about in the last episode. So now that we've got this other 2-drop that's also a bodyguard,
You're just gonna
it's-
have a Rockstar and a bunch of children.
I'm just Rockstar and a bunch of children. That's all I got. I just got Rockstar and a bunch of children.
Okay. Well,
Ooh, child.
so thank you for that. So my deck that I wanted to bring to the podcast, I wanted to kind of round out some multiple games. So Anthony had Yu-Gi-Oh, Tyler had Magic.
Alex
I
had
wanted
Magic.
to. Alex had Magic as well. I wanted to bring the Hearthstone references that I had, because I do feel like actually of all the games, Lorcana always gets compared to Magic because Magic's like the most popular card game
Yeah.
as far as like a gameplay.
As far as
focused it is.
synergies and the things
Yeah.
that it does, yeah.
So everything
see
gets
it.
compared to Magic, and of course, when you're turning cards sideways and you're doing abilities with them, you're going to get Magic parallels. But I actually
Tapping
believe
out
that
and slinging
Hearthstone,
spells, man.
yeah, I do believe that Hearthstone has the closest analogy to what Lorcana does, and like how combat works, life
Yeah.
totals kind of being like lore totals, the keyword abilities being featured on cards that kind of give them like, it's a very simple design. You have cost, you have attack, you have health. In Lorcana, you have cost, you have
attack.
strength, you have willpower.
Yep.
And you have keywords. So I wanted to bring up my favorite deck that I played in that game that fits my little Timmy heart is Druid Ramp.
Oh, yeah.
Now, Druid as a
Goats.
class in Hearthstone, you pick one of 9 classes. I think it's 10 now because they added Death Knight.
Death Knight.
Druids in the class, every class got their own type of card. So it's like in Lorcana if there existed all 6 ink types and then there was like a generic card that any of the ink types could put in their deck.
Still think that should be a thing. but,
Maybe one day, like black and white cards, yeah. So in Hearthstone, Druid as a class was all about nature and choices. So 2 things. One already exists in Lorcana, and it's ramping, getting extra resources by playing certain cards that have that effect so that you can eventually get to higher ink totals or mana totals than your opponent does faster, meaning you can play bigger stuff earlier, hopefully when your opponent can't deal with it. And the other mechanic that is featured in Druid, as I mentioned, was choices. Druid had a lot of cards that said, when you play this, choose one. Either get this or get this. And that had baked in flexibility. So something that the ramping did is it basically lets you play threats earlier. So as far as appealing to me, Druid and Hearthstone could play things like Ancient of Lore. It could play huge dinosaur, like generic cards. It could play like the old god cards. It could play all like the big 10 cost stuff, 9 cost stuff, 8 cost stuff.
all the dragons.
Essentially on like turn 5 or 6. And if you ever played against
So
Druid, you
gross.
knew you were in for a world of pain when you saw a ramp card on turn 2, a ramp card on turn 3, a ramp card on turn 4. And you're like, I know I'm building the board right now, but like he's about to play something that costs 10 and I only have 4 ink. It's using Lorcana terms. I don't know if I can deal with it. So
and the answer is that you
you
can't.
can't. Yeah. So Sapphire right now has the ink cards in One Jump Ahead and Mickey Detective. I don't want to overlook that Amber also has Lantern, which gives a character 1 less cost.
It's
when you
because
exert it.
Amber is the most well-rounded.
Yeah. So Lantern gives you what I would call soft ramp, and Sapphire gives you hard ramp. Ramp that doesn't go away, that you can't remove. So that already exists. I'm awaiting better ramp, but I already know that they can satisfy that love of mine. The thing that I'm waiting for are choose effects, because I don't think that's hard at all to do. Emerald is right for that. It's literally the flexibility color. So I'm thinking maybe we make an emerald spell that's like choose one. Either gain 2 lore or have your opponent lose 2 lore. Something like that. Or you could do choose one, give something reckless, or give something of yours evasive for the turn. Stuff like that. And the reason that seems so nice to me is it opens the design space for Lorcana. It makes it where you can create cards that have multiple options to let the players decide what deck it fits best in. Yeah, maybe one of those choices isn't that good for your deck, but the other one is. Maybe even usually what Druid would get is they would get things that like either did damage or either did healing or ramped or drew cards. And usually you paid a little more because you had that flexibility. But I think that's easily translatable to Lorcana, maybe in a future set or something.
Still under the assumption that Maui needed to be a 8 drop 7/7 with 2 lore that just had a shift, not shift in the sense of shifting onto another card, but a shift Maui that you roll a dice, you roll a d6, and whatever it rolls on, you either get rush or evasion or ward or any of
Reckless
the other
would be punishing you.
Yeah, you don't do
You
reckless.
could throw
but-
reckless in there.
Yeah,
Why not? He
but
makes
like
mistakes
reckless
in the movie.
or just any
Yeah.
of the other keywords, like just
So
or support. Give him support.
Yeah.
Holy cow, a 7/7 support.
well,
You just you rolled a 6. That's what you did. You roll a 1, you give him reckless. You roll a 6, you give him support. Like
yeah.
that's the way that goes.
Yeah. Well, I just think with translating that Druid deck to Hearthstone or to Lorcana, it wouldn't be too difficult, and it would. You already have what are jokingly on Twitter called big dumb idiots, which are the very large cost characters that have splashy effects. It's your Maleficents, it's your Aladdins, it's your Mickey Mouse, Brave Little Tailors, all the cards that I've brought up before that I love in Ruby.
Oh, we were randomly
But-
talking about Chris Jericho back in wrestling. Like,
No.
what in the world? Big
So-
dumb idiot.
So big dumb idiots are easier to play when you can play them early, and ramp allows that, and choose one effects would allow us to, as players, to have higher skill showcase because it allows you to make the decision. And the more decisions you give a player, the more opportunities you get them to showcase what they can do.
Why do I
So
feel
it's
like
pretty
I'd be the
sweet.
person that would look at an opening hand and see all of the ramp and just be like, I'm keeping it.
Yeah.
I do like going back to your point, Jacob. I do like that idea of choose effects because like it gives the design team a chance to like explore the lore of a card before they put it into effect. Like for
Oh, yeah.
example, if they did like a genie's lamp,
Oh
and
yeah.
it'd be like the ability is like 3 wishes, and you had 3
Oh.
different choices. or
My
something
boy.
like that.
I
Bro,
literally said that on Twitter.
Yeah.
Have you been reading my?
Nope, I'm not even on Twitter.
Yes, that was one of the tweets about the create a card was
Uh-huh.
Genie's lamp.
Ah,
I did
okay.
a choice thing. So yes,
Yeah.
great minds, my brother.
Wait,
So-
but wait. What were the 3 choices?
Oh man, I'm not gonna dig up that tweet, but it was basically things that you gained lore, or you drew cards, or you returned a character to hand, and it all made sense.
Yeah.
and
Okay.
you had to choose one you hadn't chosen
Okay.
before. So
Oh.
so it created
okay.
3 wishes, and
Oh,
then whenever
so
it-
basically it has like 3 counters.
yeah, and then also it got sent to the bottom of your deck after it was used.
Oh, that
so
makes
you couldn't
sense.
just recur it for
That
free.
makes sense.
It was balanced. I was pretty proud. Anyways,
You and balanced
We-
cards since when?
I was 3rd place in that most balanced vote.
3rd out of how many?
So, next topic. We're going to go on to the mailbag segment. Hope you enjoyed our deck discussions. And if you do have a deck that you loved and would love to kind of share and talk
Drop
about
it
how
in
it
the
could how it
comments.
could translate to Lorcana, please drop it in the comments. Let us know what you think. But we're going to move on to our mailbag. We have a lot of mailbags today. We got to kind of be a little bit choosy. So we'll start with one from YouTube. Our
It's kinda
home
nice
base.
to be choosy though.
Yeah. Let's start with a question from @Kuro504, one of the newer subscribers who just recently found our channel.
Nice. Welcome, welcome.
They say, "Hi guys, do you think we'll see any more card types like songs in the near future? Since songs seem to be a subtype of action cards, I feel like we should be seeing more at some point. Otherwise, they probably would have made songs their own type of card altogether. What kinds of cards would you like to see?"
I think last week I talked about this a little bit of items getting a subtype in equipment or like the special thing that made that particular character great. So
Mm.
like Maui with his hook or Genie with the lamp, or Aladdin. I mean, I don't actually know what Aladdin would get.
You can get a sword.
He could get a
He had
sword.
a sword before.
That'd
King
be
of,
fine.
the Hand of Midas from King of Thieves.
Oh my gosh!
You're
Or
essentially
his
saying-
rug or something.
Yeah, or magic carpet could
the
be
magic
equipment.
carpet.
But you're essentially saying, as far as magic terms go, an item card, but an item card that could technically becomes part of a character.
Exactly. Yeah.
So if it went to the discard pile, it would not go
In a
away, but
game
it could
that-
be reattached to
In a
something
game
else.
that we personally have not played is Flesh and Blood,
Yeah.
and that game has some very interesting equipment cards that are
attached to your hero.
Yeah, they attach to your hero as a whole, like just from the get go
Yeah.
of the game. So like I would not want to do that, but I would
Mhm.
want to do something similar to that. Whereas like they're very specific. Like
Yeah.
you are able to put like kind of like Munchkin, like where you
you
have a
attach.
chest piece and a
Mhm.
headpiece and a
That's what
two-handed
Flesh and
weapon.
Blood is like.
Yeah,
Yeah.
very similar to Flesh and Blood, but like I think
Yeah.
it's funny enough, Munchkin actually works.
Yeah. So to kind of keep with that magic similarity, it does open up the design space. If we created like actions have action songs, items could have item equipment. And I think the design is kind of really freely available to create like an item that has its own passive ability. But if you pay a certain ink and attach it to a character, that character now gets an extra ability. It's really, really easy to do that because you already have keywords. So let's say we made a magic carpet item. Magic carpet on its own says that your evasive characters get +1 strength or something. But then if you pay more ink, magic carpet can be attached to a character. And as long as it's attached, that character has evasive.
Which would be nasty.
It would be very
Oh my
nasty.
gosh, I
Neptune's
love that.
Trident.
Neptune's Trident could give someone
Oh,
power for
yes.
control. You could take control of other characters or something. Ursula's Cauldron. I don't know. There's all kinds of
That
stuff.
would be fun.
That is a great question.
Trying to
Thank
think
you
of
for your-
other items. Like it's bugging me now.
Yeah.
Like
There's too many
we've opened
to-
up a
yeah.
can of worms here.
So we're going to move on to the next question. Thank you very much for that question on YouTube at Kuro504.
can we eventually make Hey into an item?
He's a boat snack, so I guess so. The next question is on Twitter. And that tweet, let me pull it up real quick, make sure we got everything in order here. Goodness gracious. The question is from the Illumateers, and they ask a very simple question. What is your favorite artist revealed so far?
I think that we can all consensusly say in 3, 2, 1. Nicholas Cole.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's unfair.
It
'cause he's
is unfair.
illustrated-
We're going to give other people, but
Yeah.
give the man his due.
Yeah.
Man makes a good freaking card art. Like
Yeah.
it's
He's
just
illustrated like 10 cards of
and
the
all
set.
10 of them are bangers.
They're all good. I mean, there's like, the thing is to me, it's like there's such diverse design. Off the top of my head, there's Cruella DeVille,
solid.
Aurora Dreaming Guardian, Mickey
really
Wayward
solid.
Sorcerer,
My gosh.
Aladdin Heroic Outlaw,
Yep.
Yep.
Simba Future King,
Yep.
Simba, the other big Simba in Steel, Maleficent, Visitor, Sinister Visitor in
Okay.
in Sapphire.
in Sapphire.
Like, I could
and
go
then,
on.
And
Yeah.
then
It's-
finally,
oh,
Mickey.
Oh, Mickey,
the
brave little Taylor. How
brave
could I
little
forget?
Taylor.
Shame on me. So yes, Nicholas Cole is he's had a leg up on all the other artists because he's had so many commissions that have been shown so far.
And I just want to point out, Nicholas Cole, please contact us. We want you on the channel. We want you
I
to come
DM'd
by.
him on Twitter. He may be a busy man though. He's
I can
very busy
understand
person.
that.
So, but yes, we would love to talk and reach out just to kind of interview you if possible. But anyways, we all want to give a chance to showcase other artists that we appreciate because there's so many in this game and there's so many cards that you look at in this game and you think, wow, I could just stare at this for a while.
Oh yeah,
So,
for sure.
Tyler, what is your extra artist you're going to mention and feature?
So my extra artist is Simangalisi.
Simangaliso.
Simangaliso. My bad. Khaleesi. No, I'm just kidding. Simangaliso Sabaya, and the major card that he brought out was Stitch Rockstar. We all know how I feel about Stitch Rockstar because he's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And he is amazing, and
I
he
think-
looks amazing.
I
like
think Six
just
Rockstar was one of the first ones revealed that made people go like, they can do that in Lorcana?
yeah,
You know?
yeah. That
Pretty
it's it just. I mean, honestly, all the arts and all the artists. Okay. I just want to say, from one of us here to all the artists, you guys are doing a fantastic job.
Absolutely.
You are
sure.
sincerely doing the Lord's work
Mm-hmm.
in creating a phenomenally looking product
Mm-hmm.
for consumers that all we want to do
Yeah.
is have the greatest nostalgia trip ever.
Yeah.
And you guys are doing a fantastic job. And from us here at Ready Set Draw, thank you so much for the work that you're doing. Like
It's literally the first thing you see in a game.
Yeah,
It's the card
it's
art.
the
It's the
card
first
art.
thing that draws your eye. And if you made these cards with blank images and just their abilities, you technically would have the exact same game, but it would die on arrival.
Yeah.
So-
It's called Rush Vicar.
Yeah. You know what? I'm going to go because you are the king of forcing me to segue. So my artist is Marcel Berg. Marcel Berg also has illustrated 3 cards that we know so far, which are Captain Hook, Forceful Duelist, Hercules, True Hero, and Stitch, Carefree Surfer. So you have a Stitch represented again.
Marcel
And
Berg, you're doing,
I think-
doing the Lord's work.
The first card that people saw from Marcel Berg was the Captain Hook, Forceful Duelist. He was one of the original D23
Such
promos.
a good looking card.
That is menacing.
Yes.
That card is very menacing. It creates a new tone, and kind of like the Illuminators brought up in their video that I watched with Modern Storybook. Peter Pan, the original illustration, is not like very like high definition illustration. It's old school,
Yeah.
you know. But the art in that image, even though it draws on an old school character, it looks fresh. It looks modern. It looks you know it's good when you look at it.
It's also
So-
terrifying.
It's terrifying because he has a sword.
Yeah. And
It's
he's
it's
a
ridiculous.
one-drop.
And he's a 1-drop. Yeah, it's he was one of the first cards I actually played with when I tested the game. I love that card.
Yeah.
So thank you, Marcel. I really appreciate your art. Anthony, who is your artist?
So my artist is Julia Riva. And the one that stuck out the most to me is Rafiki, Mysterious Sage. Oh
Rafiki.
my gosh, that purple is purple is already my favorite color. So this card it just looks so mysterious. How the little aura is just like creating leading lines going towards Rafiki, and then Rafiki's eyes are glowing. Oh my
as
gosh,
they should be.
That card in foil is going to be a thing to behold.
Oh my gosh!
Thank you. Thank you
Yeah.
for making me want something that I didn't even know that I wanted. I appreciate it.
What other cards has Julia illustrated?
She's also done Genie on the Job, which is another dope card.
Mhm.
It has
Very
the little green again aura or whatever you want to call it
Mhm.
going towards who is the guy?
That's just a Sultan.
It's
Or,
the-
that's just a Sultan's Guard,
yeah.
Palace Guard.
It's all like it's just a dope card. And another one that I know of that she made is
It's wardrobe,
the
right?
Wardrobe. Yes, the Wardrobe Belle's Confidant.
Underrated. With 3-4 in stats for 3, that is an underrated stat. It usually eats up a lot of things in the early game.
That the back end body.
So I will say,
that's pretty
Julia,
good.
props to you. Not only do you have awesome art appreciated by our very own Anthony and all of us, you have very good cards.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
for sure.
So
You-
the gratifying thing, I've thought about this in terms of Magic before. I know in Magic there are a ton of artists, and I put myself in their shoes, and I think, you give me a card to illustrate, I'm going to do the crap out of it. I'm going to draw that thing with all my heart. But the problem is, I know when I see the art, when I've been given the notes on what it's supposed to do, what it's supposed to look like, if you were given a card that you know is bad, you're going to be appreciative, but you're also going to be like, how many people beyond like a limited draft format are actually going to see this thing? You know, with all her cards and all the cards we've spoken of actually
Yep.
today, all of them,
Are going to be played.
they're going to be played. They're going to
Yeah.
be on tables for people to witness for years.
Yep.
That's got to feel really good.
I kind of off topic a little bit, but I want to give kudos to the guys that are making the flavor text. Oh
Yeah.
my gosh, they're doing such
It's-
a great job
it's
with
a-
that.
It's a difficult job, but I'd love to do it. Because
Yeah.
if I have not shown anything, it is the ability to off the cuff say something that everybody is like, dang it, why didn't I think of that?
I could definitely see you doing that.
Mhm.
Or if they make this into like a digital format and they give like the cards voices, oh my, I could definitely
Yeah.
see you doing that.
Ravensburger,
Mhm.
hit me up.
Well, I do want to hit one more, if y'all are cool with it.
Yeah, for
One more
sure.
mailbag. It is from what I would consider one of our number one fans, if not the number one fan. And I'm going to take another crack at his name. Take another crack at
I
it.
feel like every single week, Nick, just give us something.
Yeah. Oh, he does. That's the thing. I
And-
forgot to
and
add
every
the
single
mailbag.
one of us will give a shot.
It is my bad. I'm usually the one responsible for sending out the mailbag announcements, and I missed YouTube last week. I only tweeted it, and I completely forgot because I was on vacation. Okay, if I'm allowed to defend myself, I completely
are.
forgot to send out the one on YouTube last week. But I'm sure if I did, his question would have been there. So today I'm going to try a different take. I'm going to get a little flavorful with it. Nick Gagalis.
Gagalis.
He asks, how many Kingdom Hearts cards will he's kidding. He says, how many Kingdom Hearts cards will be in the next set? Just kidding. That shows me that you're a real fan, Nick, because you're referencing things that are deep cuts.
Nick,
Nicholas, I
you're-
appreciate you
we-
so much.
Me and Anthony, because right now Jacob is a lone
The
soldier
answer is
here.
0. So the rest of Nick's question,
We appreciate you nonetheless.
he says, it seems pretty obvious that item-based decks have gotten stronger with the addition of Ariel, and they will inevitably become better with each item that gets revealed, Sapphire or not. What other archetype seems poised to make a big jump? Also, are there any other archetypes you haven't seen or talked about on the podcast that might be created in this set? Good question.
It is a great question, and I honestly I think the big one is probably Hero. I think Hero needs to have just more.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
we haven't seen a card that cares about heroes, but we've seen a card that cares about villains.
Yeah, and we've seen cards that care about princesses.
Yeah.
I think it's been touched on a little bit, but Gaston at some point, when he finally gets
The
revealed,
allies.
I think he'll probably care about allies,
Mhm.
just because it makes sense.
Yeah.
Like with him and LeFou, like that combo just
Yeah.
makes a lot of sense.
So
As the
something
whole.
with the hero mention is we knew Hades was a card that cared about villains almost from the get-go because
Oh,
he was
yeah.
featured as box art on the gift set. So since we got that character, it immediately started the gears cranking where every time we saw a villain released, we thought, can that fit in the villain deck? But imagine
There
now that
wasn't
we've
a better
gotten
color.
Well, yeah, but if villain color could be anything, technically.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure there's a villain in every color so far. So it's just there was a bulk of them in amber and amethyst together
Yeah.
before. So the thing is, we already have 100 cards. We basically have half the set
We
revealed.
have
at this point.
111 cards now.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure that counts some duplicates, but you're right. 111 styles of cards. With half the set revealed, we have not cared about the hero tag, but it is just as important as a villain tag. So imagine the gears. It's like the gears have already been spinning and you finally catch it when a hero card gets released. Because if they created a Zeus, like y'all referred to last week, that actually cares about the hero count
I
and
think I
gains
might
lore
have
based on
misplayed
that,
my hand there.
what?
I think if we're going to have a card that cares about heroes,
It's Hercules.
it's Hercules.
Yeah.
Thank you for reading my mind. I appreciate you.
It's a shift
A
Hercules.
shift for 4 Hercules
Mm-hmm.
that is a 6 cost inkable
Mhm.
that cares about heroes. It could still be a bodyguard, but I think it would be better if it was. I mean, I guess technically, yeah, it could still be a bodyguard. But dear goodness, Ravensburger, please just let us know. Just give us something, whether or not we're on the right track or not. But another one, and what's another underrated archetype at this point?
The Musketeers.
I agree, for
Yeah.
sure. I think with the introduction of Goofy, I think it gives it kind of a fun segue to the possibilities of what the Musketeers can do.
Because Nick was asking, like, what's something we haven't seen? And that's heroes. We haven't seen a card that literally cares about heroes.
Yeah.
But what's something that's poised to make a big jump? How much did Musketeers get a big jump from just one extra so
Just
far?
One extra.
One
Yeah.
card made that whole setup
Because you think about
much
it,
better.
as far as a deck is concerned, every single card they reveal that cares about it is 4 deck slots. So You
Yep.
add one more, and you've essentially created a fifth of the deck.
Yep.
Can now be Musketeers. So I think that's the poise for the biggest jump in quality, as long as it's a quality card, of course.
I think Donald needs to be an amber card. I think by itself, I think Mickey still needs to continue to be
Hold
like
down
the
the steel.
leader and hold
I
it
get
down
you.
in steel.
All right. Well, anybody have any other topic or question?
I think the only thing that I would like to point out is that it is 27 days until Gen Con.
27
days.
Gen Con's going to be spicy.
It's gonna
I'm
be
feeling it.
so spicy.
I wish you could come with us, Anthony, but we will be thinking of you the whole time.
Aunt Loki, I'm just gonna pack you in my bag. You're good. You're gonna be my carry-on.
I'm excited for y'all.
All right.
Okay. Well, with that being said, thanks again, guys, for listening to Ready Set Live. If you could like and share the content and subscribe to the channel, as well as hitting that notification bell for updates on when we post new content. Don't forget to leave a comment as we check for any questions that you guys might have, as well as things to add to our mailbag portion, as we just spoke about at the end of the podcast. And who knows, maybe your question will be answered in the next episode. And thanks again to Texarkana Podcast Studio for their contribution in making this episode possible. As always, this is Tyler from Ready Set Draw, signing out.
Peace.